4 years, my parents mocked my online business until I earned $1.20 million. They laughed at my dreams, my online hobby, for years. But the day my family's golden girl tried to publicly humiliate me at her own graduation party, I delivered a truth bomb that changed everything. My name is Aiden, and at 31, I've learned a hard truth about family. They'll support you right up until your success makes them uncomfortable. I never fit the mold. While my cousins were off chasing law degrees, medical careers, or whatever shiny badge would earn them LinkedIn clout and parental bragging rights, I was holed up in my childhood bedroom. I was creating an e-commerce brand from nothing. It started small, just bespoke phone cases, then t-shirts, and then it just exploded. While they were submitting resumes and praying for internships, I was doing taxes for an LLC, managing 6 figures of merchandise. But according to my mother, I was still just between jobs. That's how I was presented at every family wedding, every reunion. This is Aiden. He's figuring things out. As if my company, my growing empire, didn't exist until some suit validated it. The celebration that finally broke me, that tipped me over the edge, was for my cousin Sophia. She was 23, fresh out of a prominent university with an international relations degree, and the undisputed golden girl of the family. You know the type, class president, speaks 3 languages, volunteers everywhere, and looks like a literal Disney princess in every photo. Growing up, we were always civil, never antagonistic, but certainly not close. But Sophia always had this air about her, like she expected a standing ovation after every sentence. Her parents, my aunt and uncle, completely fueled it. Every tiny accomplishment was a grand event, a party, a framed award, a group text, a Facebook album titled Sophia's Big Moment. When her graduation invitation arrived, I knew exactly what to expect. A catered outdoor affair, string lights, champagne, an absurdly expensive tent rental. What I didn't see coming was the role I'd be forced to play. I drove up a little early, hoping to avoid the chaos, only to be flagged down by Aunt Cara, Sophia's mother. She was waving a neon vest at me like I just clocked in for a shift. Aiden, fantastic. We were hoping you could assist with the parking situation. Cars are backing up down the street. There was no hello. No, thanks for coming. Just a vest, a walkie-talkie, and a pat on the back, as if I were a college freshman working valet on weekends. My blood ran cold. I stared at her. Cara, I'm not working at the party. I came to celebrate. She actually laughed, as if I just told a hilarious joke. Oh, please, just help us out for an hour or so. You're so skilled at logistics, aren't you? With your small internet thing. I should have walked away right then. I should have handed her that vest and told her absolutely not. But something in me, some twisted sense of familial obligation, made me accept it. I spent the first 90 minutes of the party waving SUVs into muddy grass patches, assisting elderly relatives with their walkers over treacherous terrain. Nobody relieved me. Nobody even offered me a drink. When I finally collapsed onto one of the fold-out tables in the back, sweaty, dusty, and absolutely fuming, the real celebration had already begun. A huge banner spanned the yard. Congrats, Sophia, in sparkling gold. A red ribbon adorned the driveway gate, clearly hiding a brand new Kia Soul. Guests mingled, sipping champagne and feasting. My own mother, seated front and center, gave me a half-hearted wave, as if she herself had raised Sophia. I spotted my name on a paper place card, tucked beneath a fern in the buffet line, miles away from the main tables. Sophia, meanwhile, was glowing. She wore a white outfit that shimmered with every movement, gliding from table to table as if she were campaigning for office. Then, the microphone was handed to her. She tapped it dramatically, then laughed. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming, she began, raising her champagne flute. It means so much to be surrounded by people who value hard work and real education, especially in a time where it's so easy to get distracted by online hobbies. She smiled straight at me. The pause was deliberate, the delivery razor-sharp, and their reaction? Laughter. Actual, gut-busting laughter. My uncle snorted. My cousin Jason actually spit out his drink. Even my mother managed a tight, ashamed smile, trying to hold it back but failing miserably. A wave of heat rushed up my neck. I stared at the condensation dripping down my untouched glass, willing myself not to react. Not yet. Sophia, oblivious, or maybe just incredibly brazen, continued. Some of us spent 4 years pursuing a degree that actually means something. Sorry, not sorry. More laughs erupted. She clinked glasses with a few close friends, then returned the microphone with a flourish like a mic drop in a teen drama. My mother looked across at me, offered a slight shrug, and mumbled she didn't mean it. But she did. Oh, she absolutely did. It wasn't the car, or the banner, or even the fact that every single photo had me cropped out, standing by the hedge like some forgotten hired hand. What truly stung were the years of silent dismissals, the smirks when I tried to explain my work. My own mother would skip right over my updates to discuss Sophia's latest professor who used to work for the State Department. But as I sat there, dust on my sneakers, a warm, forgotten drink in my hand, something inside me finally broke. By the way, if you're still with me and loving this roller coaster of family drama, make sure to hit that subscribe button. More unbelievable stories are coming your way. I waited until the last toast was given, the applause died down, and people started drifting towards the dance floor where a Bluetooth speaker blared top 40 hits. I stood up, brushed off my clothes, and made my way to the main table where Sophia and her friends were still basking in the glow of her ovation, posing for photos next to the Kia. Hey, Sophia, I said, casual but loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. She paused mid-laugh, clearly not expecting me to speak. Yeah, she questioned, her eyes narrowing. I raised my glass and offered her my biggest, most genuine grin. Just wanted to say congrats. It really must feel amazing knowing your degree got you here, and it's awesome that your family supports you so much. I took a long, deliberate sip. My little online hobby, by the way, just cleared $1.2 million this year. But hey, nice Kia. The air crackled. Silence. Sophia's smile froze on her face. Someone behind her dropped a fork with a clatter. My uncle's mouth hung open. My mother blinked twice, like her brain couldn't process the words. I didn't wait for their reactions to subside. I simply nodded, turned on my heel, and walked away towards the gate. The last thing I heard was a frantic whisper. Wait, what did he say? And I had absolutely no intention of staying to find out what happened next. As I walked down the gravel road to my car, I could feel their stares piercing my back like burning heat lamps. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I had played my part. I had spoken everything I needed to say, and I knew that small, defiant mic drop moment would reverberate throughout that gathering like a stone dropped into still water. The truth is, I hadn't planned on saying anything at all. But years of being the family's quiet afterthought, the one who always got the short end of the stick and the long list of favors, had finally added up. And Sophia's arrogant little jab? That was the very last straw. When I got into my car and drove away, nobody came after me. Not yet. But by the time I arrived home, pulling up to my stylish 3-bedroom house, which I'd purchased outright last year, by the way, my phone had already started buzzing. First came the texts. One from my mother. That was uncalled for, Aiden. You embarrassed the entire family. Then another. We'll chat later. Please do not make a big deal out of it. Then Aunt Cara chimed in. Was that really necessary? Sophia worked hard to earn her degree. You are not the only one having accomplishments. I didn't respond. I simply turned off my phone, dropped it on the kitchen counter, and let the blissful silence of my home wash over me. That night, I got the best sleep I'd had in months. The aftermath came in waves over the next 2 days. Monday morning, I opened my business email and found 3 fresh interview requests. Apparently, one of Sophia's friends had looked at my company after the party and was genuinely impressed by what we'd built, not just fallen into. This isn't some minor online activity, the email stated. That word, activity, had always grated on me. A month ago, I might have forwarded these inquiries to my assistant. But now, I took the calls myself. For once, I wanted others to hear my story. Tuesday evening, my mother arrived at my door. She didn't text first. She just rang the doorbell, clutching a Tupperware container, as if it was still 2006, and I was a college student in desperate need of lasagna and life counsel. I opened the door slowly. Hey, she said, a little too quietly. I brought dinner. I stepped back, motioning her in. She hovered in the entrance, her eyes scanning my living room as if seeing it for the very first time. The minimalist furniture, the local art pieces, the smart lighting, all of it screamed success in a language she had never bothered to understand. "You've done well for yourself," she finally replied. "Yeah," I said, meeting her gaze. "I have." She placed the Tupperware on the countertop. "You embarrassed Sophia and the entire family. She is devastated." I folded my arms and leaned against the kitchen island. "Mom, she mocked me in public. I didn't start anything. I finished it. $1.2 million, she stated, like it was a dirty word, as if saying it aloud would summon an IRS demon. "It's the truth." She stopped, her jaw stiff. "Why haven't you told me?" I laughed, not unkindly, but with a weary amusement. "I did, Mom. You just never wanted to hear it. You liked the version of myself that needed assistance, that fit into your tiny story. Aiden, the dropout, still trying to figure things out. You could pity me, but I stopped needing it a long time ago." She sat down hard, as if my words had physically knocked the wind out of her. "I wasn't trying to pity you," she added quietly. "No," I asked. "So why was Sophia always so motivated while I was just the kid who made stickers in his room?" She didn't have an explanation for that. Instead, she shifted. "Sophia is looking for work. You know, nothing has come through yet." I grinned tightly. So, the actual degree didn't open every door after all. That earned me a scowl. "Don't be cruel." "I'm not," I replied, my voice steady. "I'm just tired of pretending I haven't earned a place in this household." She stood up, brushing phantom crumbs from her blouse. "She wants to apologize," she muttered. "Does she?" I raised an eyebrow. She said she went too far. I didn't respond, because I didn't believe it. Not yet. Later that night, I looked at my phone for the first time since Saturday. Sophia's text sat unread. "Hey, about the party. I shouldn't have said what I said. That was messed up. Can we talk?" I stared at it for a long time, not because I didn't know what to do, but because the power dynamic had finally shifted, and everyone knew it. 4 years, they'd assumed I was just some guy scraping by on Wi-Fi in a dream. No, I was the one who had quietly built an empire while they weren't looking. The following weekend, however, was when things really began to spiral. Aunt Cara called me directly. No warning, just a voicemail. "Aiden, I need to talk to you about something important. We've run into a bit of a financial situation. I didn't want to bring this up, but your uncle's hours got cut, and the lease on Sophia's new car isn't exactly manageable. I know things got tense, but we're still family, right?" That's when something clicked. They weren't simply humiliated. They wanted something from me. I listened to the voicemail twice. Not because I needed to hear her words again, but because I couldn't believe how quickly the tone had changed. Just days before, I'd been the family joke, in a neon vest, directing cars into grassy fields. Now, I was their emergency exit. I didn't call Aunt Cara back right away. I didn't even respond. I let it sit, letting her wonder if I'd heard it, allowing the discomfort to fester. I recognized this pattern. It was painfully predictable. First the derision, then the uncomfortable silence, then the sudden, saccharine tenderness, and that familiar "we're still family" line as soon as they needed a favor. And make no mistake, this was a favor, a very pricey one. I sat down at my kitchen table, opened my laptop, and went to Sophia's Instagram. She'd shared a carousel of photos from the party, the banner, the speeches, the keys to her new car with a caption about new beginnings and real work that makes a difference. Real work. That phrase again. I scrolled through the comments, seeing dozens of likes from extended family, acquaintances, former classmates. A handful tagged her, raving about how amazing she was. One even said, "Can't wait to work with you at the embassy." That made me smirk. I knew Sophia hadn't received a single job offer. Not because she told me, but because my mother had accidentally let it slip while half defending her in my kitchen. The girl who toasted to genuine degrees and derided internet hobbies was now 3 months into post-graduation unemployment and plainly stressed out. Still, I had no plans to do anything. I wasn't looking for blood. Not yet. Then came the second call. This one from my uncle. "Aiden, hello. I just wanted to clear the air. You know we love you. Always have. What about the whole party thing? Just a little playful taunting. Sophia has a great sense of humor, doesn't she? He chuckled nervously. She takes after her father. Kara mentioned the lease and left you a message. We're simply a touch tight this month. It would be very appreciated if you could float us the first few installments to keep things running smoothly while Sophia settles in. I mean, you did say your business was going great, right? I sat there in stunned stillness, clutching my phone like a live grenade. The arrogance was nearly artistic. There was no mention of the years I had spent quietly footing costs for birthday gifts, Christmas feasts, or family emergencies, while they offered me folding chairs and backhanded compliments. There wasn't a single acknowledgement that Sophia's words were cruel. Not mocking, not humorous, not a joke. No apologies, just more entitlement, simply more of the same. That's when I opened the spreadsheet I'd been saving for years. Not out of malice, but just to be methodical. Every single dollar I'd ever given or spent on this family. From the $300 I loaned Jason for textbooks, which he never paid back, to the $2,000 I lent Kara and her husband when their roof started leaking 2 winters ago. I had been guilted into doing every favor. I paid every bill quietly to keep the peace. The grand total? $42,860. $42,860. And that didn't include interest. It didn't include emotional labor. Not to mention the way they made me feel like a glorified piggy bank with no actual accomplishments. I looked at that number for a long, long time. Then I took a deep breath and began crafting a note for Sophia. Hey, got your text? Been thinking about it. Appreciate the apology, but I've been thinking maybe it's time for some clarity for everyone's sake. You're right, by the way. You did work hard. I just don't think that justifies mocking other people's success, especially when you don't fully understand it. But more than that, I'm realizing that I've spent years investing in this family financially and emotionally, and all I've gotten in return is dismissiveness. I read it twice. No venom. No gloating. Just a line in the sand. Then I forwarded a variation of that message to my uncle, and more delicately, my mother. She called right away. Aiden, can we discuss this? You cannot just— Yes, I interrupted, calmly and clearly. I can. And I just did. There was a pause at the other end of the line. For the first time, she didn't have a script. I don't know what to say. Did you really earn more than $1 million last year? Yes. How? You never asked. Another prolonged stillness. What do you want us to do? She asked, her voice low. And that question stayed with me for a moment, because that was the point, wasn't it? I didn't want them to do anything. I just wanted them to stop expecting me to handle everything. I abruptly ended the call. Not out of spite, but because I didn't feel obligated to perform for anyone. The mask was off. The bank was closed. The family's joke had finally been told. Sophia hadn't responded to my message for 2 days. I assumed she was either stewing in her humiliation, preparing some faux gracious response, or simply too embarrassed to say anything at all. Honestly, I didn't really care. I had spoken my piece. The crushing weight that had been resting on my chest for years, guilt, obligation, the continual sense of being seen but never truly valued, was finally lifted. For the first time in forever, I felt light. Then, on the 3rd day, I received a calendar invitation. Subject: Coffee by Sophia Summers. Time: Saturday at 10 a.m. Cafe Alder, downtown. I stared at it for a moment, trying to decide whether to decline, but a part of me was undeniably curious. I accepted, not because I expected a heartfelt apology, but because I wanted to look her in the eyes and discover what, if anything, was genuine beneath all of her polished superiority. Saturday morning rolled around, gray and rainy. I thought it was fitting. I arrived 10 minutes early and got a black coffee. No frills, no distractions. She arrived 5 minutes late, dressed in a cream blazer, heels, and a countenance full of well-managed humility. Even amid the downpour, Sophia dressed as if she expected to be in the spotlight. Aiden, she murmured, with a small, careful smile, as she took the seat across from me. Thank you for coming. I didn't expect you to show, I said quietly. Neither did I, she replied, her gaze distant. But here we are. We sat in silence for a beat. She stirred her cappuccino as if it were a delicate art project. I read your message, she finally replied. Twice. Okay. And you're right. I was awful, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Not just at the party, but for years. I made fun of your work because I didn't understand it. And to be honest, I was jealous. This caught me completely by surprise. Jealous. I echoed. Yeah, she replied, finally meeting my gaze. You found your thing. You made it work. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here with a shiny degree, no job prospects, and a car that my parents can't even afford. The joke I told at the party. It was less about you and more about me trying to feel better about my own pathetic situation. I waited for her words to settle. I didn't rush to forgive. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to. I appreciate you saying that, I said slowly and deliberately, but that won't undo years of jabs of being treated as if I were less than by everyone, including my own mother. I know, she whispered. That is on me and them. All of us. I nodded, my gaze locked on the rain pouring down the window beside us. Why did you actually ask me here, Sophia? She bit her lip. Not for money. I swear. Good. I replied, cutting her off. Because that door is closed. She nodded swiftly. I understand. I didn't come to ask for help. I just wanted to own it publicly. I looked at her, puzzled. Publicly. That was when she dug into her bag, pulled out her phone. She opened her Instagram app, turned the device toward me, and pressed the record button on a story. Hi everyone, she said, a nervous smile flickering into the camera. So, this is a little uncomfortable, but it's time I say something. I sat frozen as she kept recording. At my graduation celebration last week, I made a disparaging remark about online businesses and those who work outside of the established system. It was petty, it was harsh, and it was absolutely inaccurate. My cousin Aiden is one of the most determined and successful individuals I know. He started his company from scratch with no handouts or shortcuts, and I publicly mocked him for it. That is my fault, and I apologize not only to him, but to everyone I impacted with that attitude. Real success does not come with a diploma. It requires work. And Aiden, if you're watching, thank you for calling me out. I needed it. She paused the video, posted it without hesitation, and returned the phone to her purse. I blinked. It was utterly unexpected. She shrugged. I deserve to feel embarrassed. You were for years. It's only fair. For the first time in a long time, I saw her not as Sophia the Golden Girl, but as a young woman attempting to detangle herself from the image her family had created for her, and possibly from the one she had created for herself. You're lucky I'm not a petty man, I added with a tiny smile. She smirked. Don't push it. We talked for another hour, but not about money, careers, or family politics. Just about life, travel, books. We'd never really shared those small, intimate things because we were always competing or actively avoiding each other. When we finally rose to leave, she hugged me. Not just a slap on the back, but a genuine hug. A peaceful one. The type that says, I understand now. A week later, my mother called. Did you see the video? She asked, hesitantly. I did. She didn't even tell us she was posting it. She didn't need to. I'm proud of you, she murmured, her voice thick with a hint of remorse. And I apologize for how I discussed your work, for not listening, for not asking. I didn't gloat. I didn't say anything beyond a simple, thank you. The next family gathering occurred a month later. Uncle Rob had a 4th of July barbecue. I showed up in jeans and a polo as usual, but this time I wasn't handed a vest or asked to service the ice machine. Instead, Sophia strolled up, handed me a plate full of food, and said, You're sitting with me. So I did. There was no speech, no banner, no toast. Just laughs, stories, and a strange sense of equilibrium I hadn't felt in years. When someone inquired what I did for a living, Sophia was the first to respond. He manages a multi-million-dollar web brand. It's absolutely insane. You should see his setup. The silence that followed was beautiful. No snorting, no smirking, simply impressed nods and genuine follow-up questions. I responded to a couple, smiled nicely, and kept the rest to myself because they wanted to know, and I didn't need them to. The Kia was finally returned. Sophia began working for a nonprofit organization, doing actual work that was important to her, not just her parents. Aunt Cara and Uncle Rob have stopped calling me for handouts. My mother still doesn't quite understand what I do, but she now brags about me as if I invented the internet. I still have that spreadsheet, not out of bitterness, but as a reminder of where I came from and what I no longer owe. They say that prosperity is the best form of vengeance. I believe that greater clarity is preferable. After all that noise, stillness is truly the loveliest sound. Thanks for watching and diving into this wild family drama with me. It's been quite a journey. So, tell me, have you ever had a moment where you finally stood up for yourself against family expectations, and what happened? Share your stories in the comments below. I really want to hear them.